Hey everyone, it's Marabelle Blue with a new Marabelle Blue Unfiltered. We are talking about the Bachelorette and hometown dates. So, welcome to this new episode. It's going to be crazy. I have a lot of things to say. I always have a lot of things to say. That's not anything new. But I do have a lot of things to say about the meeting with the parents, what happened with Tyler. I'm not going to talk about the good parts. I'm only going to talk about what didn't go well. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you will see and know about my new videos. I've been consistent. I'm so happy with myself. And thank you to the new people who subscribe. I am posting every week. I do have a lot of shows to cover. I feel like I'm way behind and I apologize for that. So, with all that being said, let's get started. Hey everyone, due to time constraints, this video will be done podcast style, so let us begin. Let's start with the dates that are questionable in Gabby's camp. Gabby's date with Jason went fairly well. Jason seemed comfortable in his hometown of New Orleans. They danced, they had a great time.
Dance in the streets
Gabby's
and
meeting
demand
with
everyone's
Jason's
new.
family went well, and it was very emotional, both for his dad and his mom, which met separately because his parents are divorced. I guess for some reason they don't get along, so therefore she met his parents separately. But, and there's always a but, in Jason's conversation with his mom, he shared reservations about getting down on one knee and proposing while he does have feelings for Gabby. He felt they are still developing a relationship and he wants to be sure this is what he wants to do. In that regard, Jason is in love with Gabby or he is falling in love with her. However, he doesn't see the end of their journey with him on one knee because he still has reservations. Once again, I will repeat myself and I will say this throughout this podcast. One of the things about this show is that the relationship doesn't really begin until the couples are away from the cameras. Even in the short time during the overnight dates where there are no cameras, I'm sure that there's microphones embedded in their rooms, they still don't have a form of privacy. The privacy begins when the show is over. And in essence, they have 3 months to build a relationship until we have the final Rose episode air. As we've seen in past Bachelorette history, there have been many of times where relationships have ended when the final rose aired, meaning that in the 3 months that the couples were trying to establish their relationship.
If I don't know you, then why?
Please stop interrupting me. The thing is,
They realized that they either had nothing in common or the whole fantasy, the idea of being in love was nipped in the bud. It should be no surprise that a lot of these relationships don't survive after the show is over. Let's move on to Johnny. Gabby met up with Johnny in Florida in his hometown date. And Johnny also felt the same way. Even though the date went very well, his family had very strong vibes for Gabby. Johnny's dad seemed pretty taken with Gabby. I felt his dad gave him good and sound advice, as I stated in my last video, but I actually left this part out because I couldn't remember what Bachelor was when this occurred during the Andrew Firestone season. Now, before I get into the whole thing, what happened with Andrew Firestone, that will tie in more with Tino and Rachel's date as opposed to what happened here. What happened here was the opposite. His parents were very, very supportive. His father told him that he should jump at the opportunity if it feels right. And don't worry about the rest because all of it will fall into place. Now, this is good advice. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with going with the flow. especially if it feels right. However, Johnny still has reservations about getting down on one knee. Same reservations that Jason has. The whole thing of still establishing the relationship, and they're not in a place after 3 months, because I'm assuming this is how long these relationships are going on while filming, that they don't feel ready to propose and make that type of a commitment. Now, let me just pause here and say, I don't begrudge any of these guys feeling the way they do. Sometimes I think guys run at a slower pace when it comes to finding their person. But then there are some guys that instantaneously meet their person and they know that's the one that they want to spend the rest of their lives with. So it really is like a game of chance. In the interest of Johnny's dad, at some point, go with the flow and see where it takes you. But again, where it takes Johnny or Jason remains to be seen. Sadly, Gabby is unaware of how both Jason and Johnny are having reservations about proposing, even though both admitting they are falling in love. Now, let's turn to Rachel very quickly here. Her date with Tyler went extremely well, at least for the first part. She seemed very happy to see him. She was taken with his whole life and meeting friends. But for a while, I was wondering, what was his small business? I had not realized that his small business was, I believe, owning a booth at a fair out in New Jersey. Seems that he has a lot of family and friends that work there. And as the date went on, Rachel's tone started to change. Even when he was showing her his booth and they were throwing the basketballs, it was like her whole demeanor was no longer present in the date. She got teary-eyed. She was talking about how their relationship was a little further behind. Now, let me just say this. I think that Rachel is full of shit. Many people may not agree with me, but in everything that has happened up until this point, Rachel has shown her colors, her true colors, in the sense that here she was having a date with Jordan. I think that was her first one-on-one date. Everything was going well. And then all of a sudden, he starts talking and she gets that same glossied eye look. Like she's no longer present with the person. She is in another world where she can't vibe with that person anymore. I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm a little confused. I can turn around and say, oh, well, yeah, I went out on dates, a lot of dates early on when dating sites first started popping up. If I knew that I wasn't vibing with somebody or I wasn't physically attracted to them for whatever reason that was, I didn't just be dismissive. I was always cordial, and there were many of times where I really had to say, hey, listen, I think that you're great, but I don't think that there's something here for me to pursue. And I like being honest like that. Rachel is like another person. She physically is no longer there. She did the same exact thing with Tyler. Now, my thought process with this whole thing was, she saw the kind of life that Tyler was living, which is not a bad life when you come to think about it. The man has an apartment and a house. I don't know if those two things bothered her, that he owned multiple properties, that his small business was owning a hoop at a fair, that a lot of his family members either worked in the food industry. I have no idea what was going through her mind. I believe everything that came out of her mouth was one excuse after another. And poor Tyler is sitting there proclaiming his love and telling her that she's the one. And she's looking straight into the camera with this bizarre look on her face like, please get me the fuck away from here. It was just wrong. And I think that she should have never, ever chosen Tyler for hometown dates. And to make even matters worse, to see Tyler, and I knew they were going to do this because the Bachelor franchise has to milk this shit, for Tyler to come into the house where his family is waiting to meet Rachel, and there is no Rachel. And you have a disappointed mom. Like, why? Like, what is wrong with my son that this woman can't see what a wonderful person he is? I'm sure that Tyler is a wonderful guy. He looks like a well-to-do person, but perhaps the lifestyle that he led was just too low level for Rachel. Even while she was talking with the producers and talking about how she wasn't feeling a connection, she doesn't understand what's going on, she's not emotionally ready to meet her family, it was one excuse after another. So when all of this happened, I wasn't impressed at all. I just felt like we were revisiting another Jordan incident. And just coming into the defense of Tyler in proclaiming his love for Rachel, I felt like he had a feeling she disconnected, and perhaps him telling her that she was the one and that he was in love with her will get her to change her mind. I'm glad that she didn't forego whatever it was that she was feeling in that moment, and she stayed with it and said, listen, for whatever reason that is, it's not going to work out. And she didn't continue to pretend, because that would have been more fucked up. Now let's get into Tino. Tino is the front runner. At least this is what social media is buzzing about. I don't know if Zach is the front runner. He seems to be the one that she's having a connection with, but she's also having a connection with Tino and Avon. Avon was not on this episode because, unfortunately, 2 hours wasn't enough to fit 4, 5, 6, 7 dates. They could have fit it in. If they make 2 hours for 4 dates, they could have fit 7. So I don't know what's going on with the producers. Needless to say, here is Rachel. She meets Tino's dad. Oh, wait, that's not Tino's dad. That's actually Al Neri from The Godfather. Sorry, this is Tino's dad. Anyway, she meets their family, and right away, they're just like on her like lepers. The mother was saying it's not real, it's fake. She was really adamant about that. His dad was like, well, I don't know if any of this is going to last. Like, how do you even know? He was just antagonizing her to no end, making her feel like a dot. And after all of that shit happened, Tina was like, well, everything went well. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Did you see anything or hear anything that was going on? They were rude from the get. Now, granted, everything that Tino's dad said is true in the sense that, how do we know this is real? You're enclosed, you're creating vacations, these getaways, you're going to different places where they're creating the ambiance of love. I get that, and I'm so with him on that, because this is something that I've been saying for years. Again, just what I said early on, the relationship really does not begin until this show is over and there are no cameras following them or documenting their love. Then it's just those two alone. So I get everything that he's saying. However, to be rude and antagonizing, and the mother being adamant about this is all fake, like, what are you people talking about? There are people who have fallen in love making these shows. Yes, granted that everything is outlandish, but that doesn't mean that in the pool of fakers that there aren't going to be two people that are actually going to find love in an unconventional setting. It happens. It's not like it's unrealistic. We just don't see it happening in our faces because that's not what the cameras are focused on. I felt like this watching it the whole entire time. Tino's dad was like Al Neri when he was appointed as like the new attorney in the Godfather family. And while Kay was standing there in front of the family Al Neary was like closing the door on her. And it was like the same setting. Like, this is our family. This is our son. We love him. We don't know if you love him. We don't know if you're coming from an authentic place. So why don't you stand over there and we'll just close the door in your face? Because we don't know if any of this is real. If Tino's family feels that Rachel is too much of an independent woman, that will not sit well with them. And they could plant things in Tino's head that's probably not even true and destroy a relationship that could be developing and developing in a strong faith. Overall, I want to say, and again, I'm not going to talk about the good dates because right now I feel that's irrelevant. I just really wanted to talk about the dates that are questionable and if the relationships will follow through. No one on the outside, and I'm talking about like a third party situation, can't really determine if a relationship will survive its course. It could be great in the beginning. People can fall in love and be in love for many, many years. But then something will happen where the relationship gets broken. Now, this can fall into any category. It could be from they cheated on each other, they were just not consistent anymore, a career got in the way. It could be a variety of things. It doesn't necessarily mean that one is at more fault than the other, because you have people that will say, well, it's the woman's fault or it's the man's fault, and then make all of these excuses about what side you should pick. It's not really a matter of what side you should pick. It's a matter of what have you learned from that relationship so that you don't take it on to the next relationship. Tomorrow is Avon and Rachel's date, one-on-one date, and the men tell all. From what I understand, the big announcement that was made wasn't that big. Also, that Hayden did not make an appearance. Probably he's spending time with his dog. If the poor dog, Rambo, is still alive, I believe Logan is there. And I would love to hear what Logan has to say, because we all know he apparently disappeared from episode 6 due to COVID and then just never heard from again, which is strange because if he got COVID, why would Gabby get rid of him? I have no idea. I would love to hear your comments and thoughts. And please, 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 if you know of any spoilers, if you cheated in some sort, please do not post it in the comments. Let us enjoy the speculation for the time being. And with all that being said, this is Marabelle Blue signing off. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.